It's Monday, May 4th. I have a little something special that's happening today. Today is my Ashley's birthday. That's my Ashley right behind me. She is 25 today. So that's very exciting. And here we go. Big things happening today. We are going to start to finish our Jack and Annie story, Midnight on the Moon. We're going to be here in chapter 7 and 8 today, and 9 and 10 on Wednesday. So we'll have finished another Jack and Annie story. And all right, so let's make sure that you have your learning tools for today. I have a riddle and a secret message and a little bit of word building that I'd like to do, but just a tiny little bit today. So make sure you have your writing surface, your dry erase surface, your marker, your eraser if you need it. And let's get started with today's riddle. So today's riddle is, why do bees have sticky hair? Listen again. Why do bees have sticky hair? Say it with me. Why do bees have sticky hair? Get your skywriter up. Here we go. Why do bees have sticky hair? That's right. It's a question. If it's a riddle, it's a question. All right, so let's go ahead. Plan your lines. Here I go. You do yours, I'll do mine. Why do bees Remember, if you need extra time, just hit the pause button and hit play when you're ready again. I'm going to read my lines to you. Here we go. Why do bees have sticky hair? What do you say? Thank you. Good job, buddy, to you as well. All right, I'm going to start my sounds. You get started on yours. Show a grown-up when you're finished. And I'll have some things for you to check on your board and make sure that you have you've done correctly, or you've needed to fix, or you've needed to edit, like we edited on Friday, Guinness's writing. All right, so why do bees have sticky hair? Ooh, I hear some word patterns. Okay, I'm going to show you mine really quick. Remember to hit pause if you need to. If you need more time, that's A-okay. You know I've been doing this for a long time. I've had a lot of practice. All right, so things I want you to look for before you're finished with your ride-along. I hear 2 word patterns that I want you to check for. All right, so we have 2 memory bank words. Do, I want you to check for do. Make sure it's spelled the right way, and make sure that your do looks just like this, and that your letter D is pointed the right way. And I want you to make sure that you have the memory bank word why. Remember, that was a challenge that we started last week, why. And I want you to make sure you have the E pattern somewhere in your message, and the ick pattern somewhere in your message. All right, and then go find out, why do bees have sticky hair? What do bees make that sticky? All right, so I think we're on to a secret message. Before we get to our secret message, I want to tell you what the share the news is that you're going to share with someone in your family. Ooh. All right, so this is a job. I know that you have been practicing your reading skills. Things that we have been practicing in the classroom are ways to figure out words that we don't know how to read. When we come to a word in a story that we're reading, what do we do when we don't know it? Do we just ask a grown-up, what's this word say? Or what are some ways that you would figure out how to read the word that you didn't know? What are some of the strategies that we have in the classroom? Think about when we're using power tools, when we have the power toolbox. What are those questions that they ask you? If you don't remember, go ahead and check your packet. You have a reading strategies list in there, and you also have that in your reading bag. And you know what? Those things might be buried at this point, but go see if you can dig them out. Those would be things that you would need for the rest of learning at home this year. All right, so here we go with our secret message. Ooh, this has to do with what we read about last week. Oh. Lots of lines. How many messages? That's right, I have 2 end marks. I have a dot to end my thought, and I have a question mark. So I have 2 messages. Remember that every time we finish a message, we have to show our reader that it's ending. So we have to give it an end mark. All right, so here we go. I'm going to do it the way that we did Guinness's message. I'm going to do the first line the way we did Guinness's message. I'm going to write it, and I want us to see if we can read it together. These might have been some words that you saw last Friday when you did the lesson with me. All right, so here I have the first line of our secret message. Okay, everybody knows this one. We know how to write it. We know how to read it. What does it say? That's right, the. I see a word pattern here. Ooh, Put it together. Moon. Good. Ooh, the moon. And here's my first sound. B, b, b. What do you think that word's going to be? What did we read about on Friday? The moon. That's right. Buggy. Excellent. The moon. Buggy. Now let's sound this one out. Oh, I see a word pattern in there. Excellent. I love it when you find those word patterns. Start by the first sound. Z. Zoomed. What's the word? Zoomed. Excellent. You read this message with me. Let's read it again. The moon buggy zoomed. Good. Let's try the next line. Ooh, I think you're going to do a great job with this line. All right, here we go. So we know that our top one says, we've already read this one. The moon buggy zoomed. Okay, wow, here's the long one. Let's do sound by sound. Or. Put those 3 together. For. W. What do you think the word will be? For. I'm going to give you the rest. Erd. For. Erd. Put it together. Forward. Excellent. Let's read from the front, from the beginning. The moon buggy zoomed forward. Oh, and there's a memory bank word. And good. Oh, word pattern. Ack. Put that sound in front of it. B. Ack. What's the word? Back. Excellent. The moon buggy zoomed forward and back. Nice reading. Let's do the next one. This is gonna take a lot of work. This is our question. That's okay. We'll do sound by sound when we need to. When we don't have any other strategies left, we do sound by sound. This is, remember, a question. We have a question mark here. So here's our beginning of this next message. That question word, that memory bank word is who. You say it. Who. It doesn't follow the rules. It doesn't have that second O to make ooh. But this is our memory bank word. It breaks the rules. That's why we need to put it in our memory. Who. Let's do this one. Sound by sound. D. Ove. What's the word? Drove. What is it? Drove. Nice. Okay, so before I told you to go sound by sound in the word drove, I hunted to see if there were any word patterns in there. That's the first strategy that I use. After I have looked at it and said, have I seen this word before? The next strategy I'll use is to look for word patterns. Who drove? Oh, here's our memory bank word. We know it. It. Now we're going to sound by sound this one. Or actually, why don't you look for a word pattern? Do you see it at the very end? This is a tricky one. Like shower. So there's a word pattern there. That's part that we don't have to break up into sound by sound. Let's start from the beginning. Et. Put it together. Bet. And there's that word pattern. Better. Oh, there's that question. Who drove it better? Oh, remember Jack and Annie both had a turn to drive the moon buggy? Who do you think drove it better? All right, so let's get ready and let's read chapters 7 and 8. See what happens. If you remember, Jack and Annie had just seen that moon man through the telescope. And they decided to head back towards the moon base. But as they were getting there, a meteorite fell, and Jack and Annie had to jump over it. What happened to both of them when they jumped over? That's right, they fell. And then something happened at the end. Annie looked up, and what did she see? That's right, she saw the moon man. So let's go ahead and read chapter 7. Is called The Moon Man. Jack's heart nearly stopped. He couldn't hear Annie talking anymore. Hi, all of a sudden she said. We come in peace. There was silence. Then Jack heard Annie say, Thank you. I have to help my brother now. A moment later, Annie rolled Jack onto his back. She grabbed his hand and pulled him up. Thanks, said Jack, once he was standing. The moon man was a few feet away. His face was hidden by a metal visor. He looked like a spaceman, a huge spaceman, with a giant tank on his back. It was as big as a refrigerator. That's a jetpack, said Jack. I've seen pictures of future astronauts flying with those things, like a mini spaceship right on your back, right? The moon man didn't answer. I don't think he can hear us, said Annie. I don't think he's hooked up to our radio. Oh, right, said Jack. I'll write him a message. Good idea, said Annie. Jack pulled his notebook and pencil out of his backpack and wrote down, We are Jack and Annie. We come in peace. Who are you? Jack handed the notebook and pencil back to the moon man. They looked tiny in his great big hands. The moon man looked down at the message. He looked at the tiny pencil and he turned the notebook over. Jack and Annie watched as the moon man put the pencil to the paper. He started writing something very carefully. Finally, he gave the notebook back to Jack. Jack and Annie stared at the marks on the paper. Stars? Said Annie. He drew us stars? Maybe it's a space map, said Jack. Space map? Said Annie. Hey, Jack, map starts with the letter M. Oh, wow, said Jack. This must be the fourth M thing. Let's ask him what this map means. Annie turned around. We'll never know, she said. Why? Asked Jack, and then he looked up from the map. That's why. Annie pointed. The Moon Man was flying over the mountains. Thank you, Annie called. And that is what the Moon Man drew on Jack's notebook. A map of stars. Chapter 8. One star to another. Who was that guy? Asked Jack. What does this map even mean? I don't know, said Annie, but let's see if it works. Jack took a deep breath. Yeah, we better hurry back. I think I'm running out of air. It's starting to get harder to breathe. For me too, said Annie. Go slow. Don't breathe too much, said Jack. He and Annie took long, floating steps towards the moon base. Jack held his breath as if he were floating underwater. By the time they got to the white dome, he was about ready to burst. Annie pushed the button beside the huge door. It slid open. They hurried into the airlock. The door closed behind them, and the door to the hallway opened. Jack opened the visor of his helmet and took a long, deep breath, then let it out. Let's take a deep breath with Jack. Oh. Let's get out of these suits, said Annie. Good idea. Jack was dying to free his arms and his legs. As they moved clumsily into the space room storeroom, Jack started feeling heavy again. He and Annie unlocked the helmets. They took off their gloves and boots and pulled everything else off. Then they stepped out of the bulky suits. Phew, Jack said. He took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. It was great to be free, even though he no longer felt as light as a feather. Hurry, Peanut's waiting for us, said Annie. She led the way down the steps to the bright landing chamber. Yeah, she said softly. Jack was relieved to see the treehouse was still there. Soon they'd be heading home. He couldn't wait. Jack and Annie crawled through the treehouse window. We're back, Peanut, said Annie. Squeak! Peanut ran right over to the letter M. We missed you, said Annie, and patted the mouse's little head. We met a moon man? Sorry, Peanut, but you have to move, said Jack. We have to put the map on the letter M. Jack tore the star map out of his notebook and placed it on the letter M next to the mammoth bone, the mango, and the moonstone. He sighed, then he sat back on his heels. Hand me that Pennsylvania book, he said. They needed the Pennsylvania book to get back home. There was silence. Jack turned and looked at Annie. Can I have the Pennsylvania book, please? It's not working, Jack, she said. The book's not here. What? Was the map the wrong thing? They looked around the treehouse. It's definitely not here, said Annie. Oh no, Jack's heart sank. He picked up the star map and stared at it. Squeak, squeak! Peanut jumped out of Annie's arms and scurried back to the letter M. I've got an idea, said Jack. He reached into his backpack and took out his pencil. What are you doing? Asked Annie. Do you know how to draw a constellation? Said Jack. You connect all the stars. What if we do that and see what happens? He drew a line from one star to the other. He kept drawing until all the stars were connected. There they are, working in the treehouse. Jack connected the stars. What do you see? Hey, said Annie. It looks like a mouse. Yeah, said Jack. Do you think it looks like a mouse? The tail, the body, the ears, the nose. Is there such a thing as a mouse constellation, said Annie. I don't think so, said Jack. Squeak! Annie and Jack looked at Peanut. She was standing on the letter M. Oh, wow, Jack, Annie whispered. I think I know what the fourth M thing is. Jack smiled. Me too, he said. I think it's a mouse, they both said together. Squeak, squeak! Maybe the spell is moonstone, mango, mammoth bone, mouse, said Annie. Jack touched each M thing in turn as he whispered, moonstone, mango, mammoth bone, mouse. Let's say it over and over and over again, said Annie, and see what happens. Together they chanted, will you say it with me? Moonstone, mango, mammoth bone, mouse. Say it again. Moonstone, mango, mammoth bone, mouse. Let's do 2 more times. Moonstone, mango, mammoth bone, mouse. One more. Moonstone, mango, mammoth bone, mouse. All of a sudden, a bright light filled the treehouse. The light got brighter and brighter and brighter. The brightness was starting to blind them, and there was whirling all around. The air spun with brightness, and everything was clear. Peanut the mouse was gone, and Morgan Le Fay stood right in front of Jack and Annie again. And that's the end of chapter 8. On Wednesday, we'll hear the end of the story. We'll see what happens when Morgan is standing in the treehouse. All right, my friends, I want you to go and talk to your families. I want you to share with them, what did the Moon Man draw for Jack and Annie? I also want you to share the news with them. Remember to teach somebody in your house one of the strategies that you would use if you came to a word when you were reading that you didn't know. We practiced that a little bit during our secret message today. All right, go and have an awesome day. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be reading that story I was telling you about, Our Stars. So we'll be talking about the constellations now that Jack and Annie have shared their special constellation with you. All right, have a great day. Love you lots. Bye for now.